Member North Vancouver Lonsdale.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. We were called candy girls. That's what my first job was colloquially called. I was a candy girl. It was a part-time seasonal job. I worked in a donut stand at Playland, and one day into the job, I had already learned that in the candy department, girls were hired to be in the stands and boys were hired as what were called runners. Well, that might be all well and good if you were a girl who preferred to be in the donut stand or a cotton candy stand, but I wasn't one of them. I wanted to be a runner. Runners worked in the industrial kitchen, preparing goods for the candy attendants to sell, and unlike candy attendants, runners got to roam the park grounds, drive golf carts carrying 22-pound sacks of sugar, 53-pound boxes of Coke syrup. They didn't have to deal with customers, with respect, got to work in teams. They were always covered in sweat and flour, had a lot of fun, and that's the job that I wanted. But when I tried to convince the running team and management to let me transfer over, they told me I couldn't because girls can't be runners. It took 2 summer seasons for me to convince them to let me onto their team. But when they finally did, I felt like I had found my part-time calling. It was my dream job. I was awesome at it, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much that I went back to it for many years. Perhaps too many years, until it started to get a little weird because I was still getting a little bit old to still be working at Playland. But then again, I was not the only one. Once a runner, always a runner, they would say. And it was, after all, really the best job ever. You know, it's interesting looking back at the times I've had to overcome gender biases in my life, not realizing at the time what it was. At the time, I didn't see my fight to enter a boys-only club of a part-time job as a battle against sexism or injustice. It was simply what we were conditioned to accept and the way things were. And because I was conditioned to believe that my default place was to be a candy girl, I actually felt extremely privileged to be a runner for all those years. It really did not occur to me until I started writing this statement that if you think about it, it had essentially taken me 2 years to get a job that a boy would have gotten right off the bat for absolutely no other reason than the fact that I was a girl. Everyone here knows that this is not a unique story, and when you extrapolate the experience to all other male-dominated careers out there, it actually becomes a very harrowing tale. From discouraging language in job postings, gender biases during interviews, company attitudes towards women and maternity leave, and unconscious differences in the way that the performance of men and women are evaluated, there are countless factors that lead to women being left out of certain industries. There's an experiment run at Columbia Business School that involved inviting managers to hire participants to perform a mathematical task. The results showed that both male and female managers were twice as likely to hire a man than a woman, even when the managers had absolutely no information beyond a candidate's appearance and therefore gender. There's another study that considered the way that gender bias plays out in software development communities, and it found that for every one of the top 10 programming code languages written by women, women had far higher approval ratings than those Women had far higher approval ratings for code than those written by men, but only when it wasn't apparent that a woman was the coder. Sure, there are definitely women-dominated occupations, just like there are male-dominated occupations, but women-dominated occupations consistently pay less than male-dominated ones. And before you suggest that women simply choose professions that are of less value, consider the study from Cornell University that found that as more women enter a male-dominated field, the pay in that field actually starts to decline, even for the very same jobs that more men were doing before. So, it appears that without a concerted effort to ensure equal pay, even as women make gains in male-dominated fields, they still end up losing. In fact, at least in the United States, out of about 350 US professions tracked by the US Census, only 9 pay women more than men for the exact same work. We have a long, long, long way to go on this road to gender equality, my friends. We can all start by recognizing that many women continue to face socioeconomic barriers that prevent them from reaching their full potential in society. And wow, I really sped up my talking. Sorry about that. Thank you.